What up, fam? I am Dr. De Luna, and you are listening to Drop It Like It's Doc podcast. Today, we have back Gianna. We love Gianna. And today we're going to talk all about how to recognize if you are getting spiritually gaslit. Unfortunately, that is something that is really common, and it's something that I want to have a conversation around. So if you're looking to giggle or cry because you're realizing that this is happening to you, this is a good episode for you to listen to, but I think it's going to be highly entertaining. Thanks for being here. Welcome back, Gianna.
Hello. Thank you.
You are officially my first guest that is being on twice, and it seems appropriate just because I adore you and I'm so excited for the silly conversation we're about to have.
I know. I'm excited. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. Thanks for just shooting the shit and for being one of the most spiritual but down-ass people that I've ever met. So you are truly the perfect person to have this conversation all about spiritual gaslighting.
Yay! Woo!
And you know, I suppose that this conversation did come about because we have both watched on Netflix.
Yes.
What is it called?
I don't know what it's called, but it's the people are called Twin Flame Universe.
Yes. Okay. It's something about twin flames. Yeah.
Twin Flame Universe, and yes. So we both had a moment where we laughed about this documentary that we saw because it is absurd.
It's absurd.
Yeah, so that brought up for us just this, well, for me personally, that's where I started to share with you just the spiritual world out there that can take advantage of vulnerable people. Mm-hmm. And that documentary got me really fired up. Mm-hmm. So I then went and got myself into a doozy and went down a rabbit hole watching documentaries on spiritual cults.
And here we are.
I'm
surprised that San Diego isn't the hub of spiritual cults, but it probably is, honestly, like North County.
I think
honestly, North County must be.
I think if we dug deeper, and I will, not to go into it too much, unless we do go into it, but there was a retreat that I went to years ago, based here around San Diego, and I want to say, like, I left there feeling like I had just spent the weekend with a cult.
And why? What made you feel that way?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we are going to go down the rabbit hole of this cult, but so...
Because if you fell into it, there's definitely people listening and watching that could fall into it. So what did you notice at the end that you were like, oh, that was maybe weird?
Okay, well, for starters, the first night where I got there, I had just terrible feelings about it. They really just started ripping people apart because we had to fill out this like application before. So very kind of coldly, they started to just rip apart people's trauma right there in front of everyone, which I just thought was really exposing and not very gentle. Like, I have been working with people in healing and doing my own healing, but at that time for a while, and so I recognized like this didn't feel safe for me to just vomit out. And they were kind of, like I said, really cold, almost yelling at us about our trauma. Like, all right, well, you've been abused and you've been in an accident. And I was just in an accident. So I was really vulnerable. And that's why I am so passionate about this, because that wasn't the only time where my vulnerability got taken advantage of in a spiritual situation. So even though I am like, yes, we're on a cult and blah, 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 it's really, really passionate to my heart because it did happen to me from people that I really trusted as well. So even though we're going to have fun, or we're having fun chatting about this, like, it's a serious fucking thing that's happening out there. People are getting taken advantage of and handing over like thousands of dollars to these people who they're putting all their trust and their power in. And that's just not what fucking healing is about, people. No. Healing is about stepping in and embodying ourselves and empowering ourselves, not giving our power away to some other person.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And I think that's the root of a lot of this. It becomes this power struggle in which it's almost like these energy vampire parasites
For sure.
find someone that is vulnerable, because after you've gone through something traumatic, you are exquisitely vulnerable, and you're just looking for understanding. You're looking for help. And I think a lot of the times, if someone puts out a hand, you go, oh, they understand, they see me, they want to help me. You hold that hand, but little do you know that hand might be like, money, more money, please, money. And you know, you mentioned something that you just felt sick when you got there. We can't deny these feelings. Because that was your intuition speaking to you.
For sure. And so I tried to leave and I was pissed. So it was me and another girl. We were pissed. We recognized it. And then again, we were talked into staying. And we stayed. And honestly, what
This is just your trauma, why you want to leave. I'm being sarcastic. Is that what they said to you?
No, exactly. They use it against you. This is no, and you're exactly right. That was definitely what they, said. And just that will, again, for somebody who's vulnerable, and then on the other side, for somebody to be telling them, we're going to make that better for you. It definitely is inviting. And you're like, okay, well, it's either like keep doing what I'm doing, which is suffering, or like they say that they're going to help me. And then, like you said, it's like, bam, more money, bam, more money. And so, yeah, just bringing awareness to the fact that if anybody is doing that to you out there and you are in a vulnerable place, it's super important to check in with yourself first. And your body is telling you, like you said, I felt sick. Your body is constantly giving us messages all day long. We are the product of our truth. So if we tune into our bodies, like, you will feel it. You will feel that gut. It's not like just a thing like, oh, just listen to your gut. Like, listen to your gut.
Yes.
That is your intuition, like you just said. Yeah.
And, I was not raised in a religious institution. So I'm not trying to offend anyone, but from my understanding, I always thought that it was mind-blowing to me how much money these religious organizations are making off of people based on their faith. And that is also just nauseating to me. And in a lot of ways, that's what these spiritual cults are, right? Like, worship me, I will heal you. If you do these rituals, if you do these practices, you will heal, you will get better. But there's always this person that's above you doing the healing for you. And that's so far from the reality, because no one can heal us other than ourselves. No one knows what we need other than ourselves. There's no one more powerful than ourselves for ourselves. And giving that power away is so sad. And again, I do understand why it happens. And even for myself, when I started kind of my spiritual journey, I can even see how I gave my power away to different yoga teachers. And it could show up even in that situation. So it's really easy for this to happen. But so far, we've kind of tweezed out two main big pieces. Your body is telling you the truth. And also, you shouldn't have to fucking pay someone to help you unless you're seeking someone for one-on-one support in which they are, walking you through, holding your hand, being that guiding light, but they're not the one healing you.
No, they're still just the guide. And like in the work that I do, I ask questions. So it's about, for me to, in my counseling sessions, it's about listening to them, hearing them, and repeating it back to them, and then asking them how it would feel to shift that, or how it would feel to create another story for themselves. That's all them creating it for themselves. Some people, we may not be there. I needed to have therapy. I needed to have counseling in my life. I needed a guide. But those people were trustworthy, and they never, ever one time told me what I should ever fucking do. Ever. They asked me inside, and that empowered me to find the answers within myself. And that is an incredible teacher. That is an amazing teacher who can reflect that back at you so that you can come up with your own story within yourself. That's what it means to break habits, to break codependency. And I just want to say too that codependency is a huge part of this. That's what it is really all about, is like being really codependent on somebody else to make you feel happy, when we have that choice within ourselves, or relying on somebody to tell you you're beautiful, or relying on someone to tell you you're loved. That can all come from a place within ourselves. We can get there on our own, and we don't need to be misled on the journey to that by anybody else. And so that's how I feel about spiritual bypassing, spiritual gaslighting.
Yeah.
Gaslighting. Telling you that you need me to be better. That's a gaslight. It's a spiritual gaslight. And then when we bring that essence of like, God wants you to do this. God loves you. You're angels. And don't get me wrong, I love my angels. I fucking love my angels. I had a near-death experience, and, you know, definitely connected to that essence and to what I feel was my angels. And so that's okay if those are your beliefs and whatnot. I don't care what you believe in, as long as that is truthful to you and it feels good in your body and not what somebody else is telling you to believe in.
Absolutely. Once again, beautifully said. And I'm happy that you brought up the codependency thing, because I think that as a collective consciousness, a lot of us are recognizing how that codependent essence is weaved into a lot of different relationships, whether it's, you know, with your doctor or your counselor or your spouse or your dog, like whatever it is, it's showing up, and a lot of people are breaking that pattern.
With my dog.
Me too. And that one we're never fixing. That is fine.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. We're recognizing it. That's the first step.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
I think that in general, most humans just want the easy fix, and that might sound like it's the easiest way to get to the next step of evolution, but there's nothing easy when it comes to healing. You got to do that dark work. And again, no one can do that for you. No one can tell you what needs to be done. And I love the way that you just reflect things back at your clients so that they can be like, oh, this is what I need. I'm empowered. This feels good. Because even dropping into that sick feeling earlier, when something's in resonance, when you know it's what you need, it lights you up in a different way. Versus someone random being like, and this has happened to me more times than I would like to say. And it's actually ironic, because it was happening to me when I was living in my mold den, going through a divorce. I had a stalker. So I don't know if energetically people that are tapped in can just like feel like, ooh, she's going through something. Let me creep on in here. And multiple people would slide into my DMs or send me a message on WhatsApp and be like, my dear child, I felt your energy. It's dark. There's a very bad spirit around you. You need me to do this ritual for you. This is the only way that I can clear your familial karma. I must do it here in Africa. I have my altar. Please PayPal me $5,000 and I will clear this for you, and your life will get better. You're actually going to meet your soulmate right after it happens. They almost got me.
I remember you telling me about
I was freaking out. And then it kept happening, and I'm like, universe, what is this? Like, it literally kept happening. Of course you remember me telling you, because you're like my most tapped in friend. I'm like, is this real? You're probably like, Ashley, please no.
No, because I got the same message. They're like, snip a piece of your hair off and burn it in the fire and you will be free. Now pay me $5,000.
And now $5,000.
I know. Yes. So bottom line is like, you know, finding people that we can trust that are going to be a helpful guide to you and empower you and encourage you to be yourself. Like, I think you're an incredible advocate for that, because you are just unapologetically yourself. And that's like, I love that about you, because people feel safe around that. And people that's why your practice is like crushing it, because you are just open and you're just going to tell people straight out. And that is a no bullshit practice.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what we want in this center as well. In
no
our
bullshit.
Beautiful place here.
Absolutely. And even in us, you know, interviewing for people to be in this space, it's something that we run into, because it's almost also weaved into the San Diego life that there's some people that'll show up, and we've talked about this, where you see it behind their eyes, and I don't know what that is behind their eyes. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's too much ayahuasca. I don't know if it's too much, I don't know what it is. Like drinking the juice, the spiked juice, but I look at them and it's behind their eyes and they're like, hello, angel. Love and light. Love and light.
That's what I'm talking. Okay, so then that is now we're in spiritual bypassing that we can go through, where people now are so under the thing of like yoga and spirituality and incense and sage and crystals, and I love those things too, but they're not the things that are going to heal you. Those are just tools. Those are tools that we can experience alongside our journey, but love and light is also not going to heal you. It can be a part of you and you can believe in that. But that is bypassing and not feeling your feelings. So that's just, and I'm only ever saying any of this stuff because I have been her. I was that person. I spiritual bypassed all the time. Like, it's okay, my angels will take care of it. I forgive them. I forgive you for abusing me. No, feel the fucking pain of what it felt like to be abused by that. And when I did, I realized like, oh shit, okay, this is what it feels like to feel. And I have been experiencing myself bypassing all of this. It's so important that we feel our feelings ourselves. Don't let anyone else feel them for you. You're in charge of what you think, feel, say, and do. You can say no at any fucking time of your life. You can change your mind if it doesn't feel in alignment anymore, and you have permission to ask for help whenever you need it. So these are the things that empower us to live in our own truth and to embody our own selves and who we want to be and how we want to show up in the world. And for me, it's taken me a long journey to get to this place where I could even say these words outside of my mouth, of my heart or my body. But I'm so passionate about it. And I just want people to know that you don't need to be spiritual to heal. Healing is like an inside job. And that comes from trusting ourselves.
Mic drop. Mic drop. My queen. You can't love and light yourself into healing. That's not how it works. Healing is really dark and it's really sticky and it feels like you're diving into a swamp of shit that you didn't even want to be in the swamp. But you're like, I'm in the swamp. How do I get out of the swamp? You can't just throw fucking stardust into it and be like, I'm going to change this swamp to love. No, you have to sit in the swamp and you have to feel all of that before you can, integrate in the lessons of the darkness. And that's such a big thing that I see is that no one's learning the lessons of the darkness. And I don't know if you've seen those funny little memes or whatever on Instagram, but it will be someone being like, hey, I wanted to bring up something that, really hurt me. And then it was, the person who's spiritual, they probably changed their name to like divine goddess from who knows where, Atlantis.
Mother God.
From Mother Goddess. Yeah. And she's like, sweet angel, that is your wounding from your mother. You must love her. This has nothing to do with me. And you're like, nah, homie, like you actually hurt my feelings. I wanted to bring this up so we could talk about it. It's like, no, sweet one, you will evolve. Just meditate on it. Yeah. Stick a crystal up your ass and you will be well. And you will be well.
Yes. I haven't seen those memes, but that's fucking amazing. Yeah. I love that shit. Yeah, well, it's almost like the Wizard. It reminds me of like the Wizard of Oz, like the fairy godmother that comes down. And she's like, yes, it's okay for you to do this. It's okay for you to whatever. And you just go along on your path and no one's really healing or growing from that. We need to go through the shit. Like you said, go through the swamps. It's uncomfortable. It's messy. It doesn't feel good. You cry a lot. Snot face crying. Screaming. Bashing things against your bed in a safe way without harming yourself or anybody else. But that's what healing really is.
I just had a flashback to me when I was in my healing response. That's why I was laughing about that. Because instead of me paying that random person in Africa, instead I just had multiple emotional outbursts that then released the anger from my body. And that worked. Instead, I was actually sitting in Ocean Beach holding a horn down on a car for roughly 10 minutes, screaming outside of someone's house. And jokes on me, they were never in the house, but that really worked for me a lot. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah. For me, after my accident, I loved getting my foam roller and smashing against my foam mattress bed. It was safe. It was a safe way to release anger. I wasn't hurting anybody because at one point I did punch my wall and I was like that really hurt my hand. I don't think I should do that again. And I've never experienced anger like this before in my whole life. So I think I need to find a healthy way to get this out. So that was my release. It works really well. And I do teach that to my clients. I'm like, do you have a foam roller? At the end of my sessions. We're experiencing anger. Okay, do you have a foam roller?
Once in that similar state, I punched my wall too, and immediately after I punched it, I was like, and then it went from me screaming to me sobbing. So still part of the emotional release. But yeah, nothing cute about any of that. No love and light involved in that. It was just dark, Kali energy, biotransformation. Yeah. We are moving through this shit.
Yeah, I know. My poor neighbors when I was going through my healing, because I would just put music up really loud, particularly this Jewel song that made me cry.
What Jewel song?
I can't think of it right now. I'll have to think of it. Maybe we can put it on at the end of the podcast.
Sure.
But damn, I would put that song on and just cry my face out. They probably heard me wailing through the song, but it worked for me.
Yeah.
Just pop a bit of Jewel on.
Pop a bit of Jewel on? I love a good Jewel. We'll play it at the end. So, and that's another good point that you bring up, just as far as people trying to discern, is this someone that I can trust, someone that I want to be on this journey with, someone that can support me or not? Are they someone that could sit with their darkness? Are they someone that is comfortable showing all sides of them? Or do they pretend that they're always perfect, that they're always put together, that they don't have dark emotions? Because my favorite teachers, whether it's, a spiritual teacher or a yoga teacher or a teacher that I'm learning from in the medical standpoint, they are always human and they are always honest, and they will always show their faults. They don't pretend that they have it all put together, because that in a sense is abusive as well, because there's no one above you. There's no hierarchy of this human shit. Yeah. We're all doing the same thing together. So if that is even implied, I am above you, you pay dues to me, or I am above you, I have this, but you must suffer. I am above you, I have the answers, you don't. That is a very clear sign that that is not someone that has your interests in mind. They're very selfish and they're feeding off of you. So just want to throw that out there. Even if it's a yoga teacher, move along.
No, and I agree that my greatest teachers in my life have been the ones that have not been afraid to show the darkness that they've been in and show the pain that they've been in, and use that as that strength to move forward and to help others. And I had one, I still have an incredible mentor that I still go to each time, because I know that she has been in the fucking darkness, and I know that no matter what I come to her with, she will hold that space for me, because she's been there, and there's nothing that I could ever do or say or feel in front of her that she would ever judge me for. So it's such a safe environment. I mean, there's been times where I just went over there and just laid on her bosom and snot face cried on her chest, and
that's great.
And that felt safe for me. And then I do want to just say, I had another teacher, like what you said, who was perfect, and I spent many years with this teacher, working with her and alongside her, and come to find out that she wasn't perfect, and that really fucked with my head, and that screwed with me, because it made me feel like it wasn't real this whole time, and I didn't even know who that person was anymore when I really got to know them, because they weren't being real. They did have that spiritual mask on, which they were teaching everyone else to not wear the spiritual mask.
Isn't that ironic?
Yeah, and so it was honestly such a beautiful awakening for me to realize, A, this person is not perfect, and B, never put anyone on a pedestal. There's never put anyone on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Because we don't know who they really are, what they're going through. So we only know what we are and what we're going through. And that really is the only thing that matters.
And this just brought up for me, for me, when I'm looking for someone in the healing world, or even my patients, the reason why they find me to work on gut health or to work on mold or to work on mental health, it's because I've gone through it. And I know what it feels like on such a deep level. If someone comes to me with mental health stuff and they're suicidal, wonderful, because I've been there, and nothing that they could say to me would freak me out versus I've actually worked with practitioners myself when I was in that mental state when I was in medical school, which is so ironic because it was with the teacher at that medical school, which they did not handle it appropriately. They made me feel like my emotions were not safe or okay, and they wanted nothing to do with it. So they just pushed me off to the side versus me, you know, someone tells me that like, hey, I'm having a really hard day. I don't want to live. I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. What's coming up for you?
For sure.
And in the spiritual world too, if in any world, in any part of self-healing or self-exploration, I think it's best to be with someone that is so open about what they've been through and what they healed to get through it. Because if not, if you haven't experienced something, you can't drop into someone else's experience and you can't meet them where they are. And that's where true healing happens, where you hold up that mirror, like you were saying. And unfortunately, I think that a lot of people, especially here in Southern California, they want to act like everything's perfect. Their skin is perfect. They don't have wrinkles. Their hair is perfect. Their body is perfect because they got liposuction. You know, like everything is perfect. So no, don't show this, don't show that. Yeah. And for me and for you, which is truly one of the reasons why I love you so much, like you're just so yourself always.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And I feel the same about you as well. As I mentioned earlier, it's just like, I don't know if I ever used to be me, and I know I was definitely wearing the mask or the spiritual mask or whatever. So thank you. I received that because again, it's taken years of my journey to be like, fuck that shit. I just have to be myself. I just have to share who I truly am, and the people that are meant to be alongside us on this journey, this crazy life thing, we'll find it. We find our tribe, and we find those ones that, you know, align with us and our hearts open and allow us to just be unapologetically ourselves.
Yes. And isn't that a golden nugget too? A healer's not looking for you. They're not looking for you. They're not sliding into your DMs, pulling you. You find them.
Yeah.
It's that saying, when you're ready, the healer appears or the teacher appears, whatever.
Yeah.
When you are ready, you will vibrate in resonance and you will find them. No person of power should ever be pulling at you, telling you that you need them. It should be something that you are seeking because you feel in alignment with that resonance. So also just throwing that out there, whether that's a health coach or a doctor or a yoga teacher telling you that you need to do X, Y, or Z, you don't need anything.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. And we live in the land of, you know, I love San Diego. I really do. But I feel like I'm a unique breed out here. I'm like a New York baby with brutal honesty, but I also, you know, can see auras and believe in angels, and I'm like the in between. So I think I have this superpower of cutting through bullshit, because there's certain people, even just, you know, in my world, where I'm like, I can't have a fucking conversation with you. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's because they're being fake though.
Yeah.
Right? Like if they were like, your last name is not, you know, like Wildflower. That's not your last name, says the girl who changed her last name. I don't know if anyone knew that, but now that's for real. It's on the podcast. Whoopsies. Now you know, but it wasn't to be more spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I'm from Australia, so I'm like really a fish out of water out here. Yeah. I'm just like, oh my gosh, sometimes, but I guess I've just like, you know, I'm part of it now and I've been here, but it is interesting to watch. To witness. And again, I'm still on my journey. I don't have all the fucking answers. That's what I say at the end of my yoga classes, and everyone thinks it's hilarious. I'm like, if you have any questions, don't ask me, because I don't have any fucking answers for you. I love that. But that's you just giving power back to them. Like, you sit with yourself, you do the work. What do you need? I don't have an answer for you. I don't have them. I can't tell you. Yeah. No. So yes, that's, and again, like we are a product of our own healing, of our own, you know, whatever, the way that we show up for ourselves, we're a product of that. And I highly recommend showing up for yourself. I think it's a really great tool. And that includes things like, you know, moving our bodies and feeding our bodies good foods and just nourishing ourselves. That self-care piece is such a, it's still such an obscurity, I feel. But self-care, you're really good at this too. I really admire you, inspire me, and remind me as well of the self-care piece. But that's all we need to do is show up for ourselves and take care of ourselves.
It's so funny that you say that, because I don't know if you can hear me through the wall when I'm saying this to my patients. I say, my best friend says this to me at the end of all our yoga classes, and I say to myself every day, you are by far the most important person in your world. I literally write that on my patients' treatment plans because you are. And I think that if you're like, wait, I thought that I was I thought my guru was the most important person in my world.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You are the most important person in your world. And just because we haven't touched this, and we're going to close out the conversation soon, I also just wanted to invite in to hear that a lot of sexual trauma can show up in these spaces and sexual assault, and you are gaslit to think that it is normal. So if your intuition is ever telling you this doesn't feel right, I just want the listeners to be aware of that. You could very much be taken advantage of. And unfortunately, that happens a lot in the yoga world with just inappropriate touch and privates. And, you know, I know that there was that also the documentary about the gymnast whose doctor was doing intravaginal releases to balance their bodies, like things like that. If your gut is like, this is not right, it's not fucking right. So I just really needed to send that.
Please listen to your intuition. It took me years of just being in some really fucked up situations that I do not wish for anybody else in a vulnerable situation to put themselves in. And it is safe for you to say no. It is safe for you to take your power back and change your mind. Whatever you need to do, remember that you have full permission to do that.
I just giggled because I had a memory of my friend Abby. She won't care that she's on here. She's a Gemini. I'm a Gemini moon, so I feel like I understand her more than most people. And like, our minds are fucking crazy, okay? Like, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
And she was looking for guidance, so she went to one of those random, I think, palm readers or like fortune tellers, just one of the random ones just off like university that you walk in.
I'm glad you brought this up.
Yeah. And she read the reviews after, and the reviews after were not before, but she read them after, and they were all like, this old lady who didn't seem like she knew what she was talking about told me that I had to come back for an energy clearing or else I'd be cursed for the next X, Y, and Z years. Like, everyone had this. So also read Yelp. But I just find that hilarious because this happens all the time that people, I always wonder about those businesses. Like, how do they stay?
I don't know, because you see them like everywhere.
Yeah. And then, you know, we have your gorgeous cards here, because that was kind of my segue into that, in that, you know, there's ways to use these tools for knowledge without using them to then feel like you're stuck in a corner, which the only way out is to pay someone to do a clearing for you. So what did that bring up for you?
Just again, like I haven't been to a clairvoyant or anything for a long time, because I started to realize that
you're a clairvoyant.
Well, how much do I need to take on or believe? Or how much do I just want to trust my own self? So I did used to go to readers and things like that. And after a while, I would just leave feeling even more confused and with more answers. So again, I just feel like if your clairvoyant is telling you what to do again, how does she know that? Only you know that. Or how do they know that? Whoever it is. Again, it's the same fucking thing. It's like coming back to trusting yourself. And I think when we heal, we don't even really need to go and see those people. I've seen them to connect, like if I wanted to connect maybe with like my grandma or someone on the other side that I don't maybe have that ability. But again, I still do have that ability. And then when I come back to it, I trust myself to that. And I get little signs from my grandma all the time. So anyways, that's where I feel. But just as in like oracle cards and things like that, tarot, again, it's the same thing. I just created these oracle cards because I wrote a book, Spirit Warrior, Soul of the Spirit Warrior, and people just kept asking me for like tools and advice and things like that. So it's kind of a little extension of my book. And again, every time I talk about these, I say the same thing, is that these are just little extensions of your intuition. Oracle cards are extensions of what we already feel, what we're already kind of knowing, and we can pull a card to maybe confirm that feeling or just get some daily guidance. If we're like, drink more water, you're like, okay, that sounds good to me, or, you know, nourish yourself. So I wanted to create an oracle deck that gave tools. So in this, it's you will pull a card, and the book that I wrote that goes with it actually gives you like tools and exercises to go and do. So if you're looking to find, I don't know, balance or something, there'll be a little exercise to maybe go outside, practice taking 10 breaths, and maybe journal down what, you know, your priority is to find that balance in your life. So it gives you little exercises and tools to finding your own way, because we're all spirit warriors. We are all warriors of our own journey, and that's why I created this deck to, like I said, just give those tools. Nothing is like set in stone. You don't have to believe it. You can take it or you can leave it. And that's how I work with things like oracles. That's how I work with things with energy. It really has all become a knowingness and a trusting within myself. And that's what I use these beautiful tools for myself. And they honestly really open up your heart. You know, when you start to, it can bring awareness to us. It can bring some trust your own intuition. So Spirit Warrior Oracles, they are out now. So they are here. If you're interested, you can find me.
It's funny.
I won't find you for a reading, that's for sure. I will not
I'm not
reach
gonna
out.
find you. I love you. And I was going to say truly the last statement that you said, which is why I said it's funny, because I couldn't believe when it came out of your mouth, even though I did, that it's teaching you to connect with your own intuition and to trust with your own intuition, because it just reflects it right back at you. So I think that will be really helpful for the listeners that want to play with that. And truly, fam, like, they are gorgeous cards. Like, I want to hang them up on my wall. I want the artwork printed on this wall. They are gorgeous. And G, you are just a gem. I so appreciate your heart. I appreciate just who you are. Everything that you have ever created is such a gift to this world and to my life. So thank you for sharing for my listeners, and thanks for just being open to have this conversation, because I think it's important, and I hope that the listeners walk away feeling empowered in how magical they are.
That was our intention for this, definitely. And yeah, if you have any questions, like, feel free. If something didn't sound right or sit right, I'm open to like this. I love this shit so much. So thank you. Oh my gosh, I love you so much. What an honor to be back in this incredible space, and I just love you. Thank you for your podcast. Thank you for your wisdom. And thank you just for being unapologetically you.
You're welcome, sis. Right back at you. And thank you all for being unapologetically yourselves. Thanks for listening along and learning. And I'll have Gianna's cards in the bio, so if you want to check those out. And
we'll pop the Jules song in there too.
Yeah, we will. Love you, fam. Don't get spiritually bullshitted, okay? Use your gut.